Good morning, Internet. Good morning, all my friends in the coffee world. Welcome to our cupping video today. I'm Alec, and this is Espen from Nordic Approach. Today, we're going to talk about Kenyan coffees, specifically fruits, and specifically red and black currants, which you find a lot in Kenyan coffee.
The coffee tree background.
It is,
Wow.
in fact, a coffee tree. I am in Norway, and this is a coffee tree that grew 100% in Norway. We had our first harvest this year. A couple weeks ago, we had one cherry. It was very red. So I'm looking forward to that processing experiment that I'm going to do on it. So, Espen, what's a black currant? What's a red currant? What do they taste like?
So black currants and red currants are small berries which grow on bushes. They're both pretty acidic. Red currants are more tart, a little bit bright. They're both pretty juicy, but with the red currant juiciness being like a lot more light, the black currant juiciness being a little bit more heavy. And in addition, the black currant also has like a very deep quality. It's like very sweet, very tasty.
So
Just really intense flavor experience. Very sweet, very acidic at the same time. One is like bright, a little bit towards tartness, while the other one's just a little deep. Absolutely delicious.
why do we talk about red and black currants at all? I mean, that for a lot of people, that's not really a flavor profile they know. So why are we so obsessed with them here in Nordic?
So in Norway in general, we're pretty obsessed with berries. We have maybe not perfect coffee cherry growing conditions, but perfect berry growing conditions.
Let's talk about what we're going to cup here. You've got some bowls in front of you. I also did a cupping at home, but I transferred them to mugs.
We decided to do a cupping of 4 representative coffees of these type of profiles. So we have 2 coffees, which we would define as like a red currant type of category of coffee, and a black currant type of category or coffee from Kenya. And if you hear something you find delicious or would want to cup and buy, check out our offer list for red currant or black currants.
Yeah. And what we should also say about this is these are indicative categories. It's one way of thinking about Kenya flavor profiles, but it's not like it's set in stone. There's no right or wrong answer exactly with cupping. These are kind of, hopefully it'll help when you identify which flavor profile you like and which ones you need for your menu. It'll help you kind of navigate our list.
So we'll start off with the black currant type of profile, and this is super typical or archetypical, you could say, for Kenyan coffee. Like big black currant fruits, very structured, they're deep, they have like dark sugars, still very, very high in acidity, but just like deep balance of acidity and sweetness. So on my far left here, I have peaberry kamwangi. Not sure if you can see it.
We'll fix it in post, Espen. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's from the Yaga region of Kenya.
I haven't cupped any of these coffees because of, whatever, Corona. This harvest is new to me. So, but Espen has been in the lab every day in the last year, basically, and he's been one of the people who's been cupping the most. So I'm tasting, but Espen is sort of has more context. So for me, this is like a dense coffee, super dense, definitely jammy. Almost like raisiny in the way it comes off, like with that dark, intense fruit you were talking about when you were describing black currants. But what do you think?
Definitely. It's also typical of pea berries. You find these very dense and layered coffees. And for me, when I cup coffees, I often pay a lot of attention to like the mouthfeel and the weight of the coffee. And for something like this, where it's like big, it's not too heavy, still has lots of acidity, so it's bright. There's also sweetness, so it feels pleasant in the mouth, and really has that like really nice black currant like fruit character, a little bit of like blackcurrant skin. For me, like all coffee has bitterness, and this is like some of the best type of bitterness you can find in coffee, along with that like amazing jammy sweetness and that bright structured acidity.
It almost reminds me of like like cherry cola somehow. It's like a little bit phosphoric, and because like you said, it's incredibly intense and dark in fruit, but not heavy. Like the mouthfeel is just coating with fruit.
What I also really like about pea berries is it's this the sweetness and this big bodiedness which you typically find. That also makes them very good for espresso. As Kenyans can quickly become very intense for espresso, you have a lot of acidity. This is amplified when you're pulling the shots, and having this big-bodied sweetness as well helps balance it out a little bit, give a more balanced espresso, work better with milk.
For sure, like it's the sharpness is not quite as there because it's got kind of a rounder body, not so much of like kind of the scalpel sharpness that you can get in sometimes in Kenyans.
Move on to coffee number 2.
What do you think about this one, Espen?
Also dark fruit and very, very jammy. A bit more structured and present throughout. It's not as big-bodied, but still like very dense.
For me, it's got a lot of layers and it's a very long coffee, and it definitely has a lot of the black currant skin, like almost the tannic character that you get in some AA Kenyans. And I mean, it's a little bit more spaced out instead of so concentrated as the PB, but just like super delicious. A little bit of violets and florals as well mixed in with the fruit.
Absolutely, I'd say this is floral, black currants, like purple fruit, like plums, jam.
Yeah, cool. So should we go to red currants now? This is like acidity first, right? You said tart.
Absolutely, and for me also, I find the type of acidity, although it is just as intense, if not more, the character of acidity is lighter on the mouth. Okay. More juicy, generally a little bit lighter bodied, not as like heavy, dark sugars. Also sometimes like a little bit vegetable focused as well, can be. So I have AA Churungi number 13 here. If I were to give this coffee a color, it would be red. It is red currant through and through. It is red berries like red currant, maybe a little bit like strawberry, raspberry, a little bit of that red currant tartness in the finish. It's light and juicy throughout. Absolutely delicious.
I get my second favorite thing where I don't have to pick favorites because this isn't a berry, but rhubarb. This tastes like rhubarb to me. Like not fresh rhubarb with a really greenish kind of flavor, but cooked rhubarb or a rhubarb pie with lots of sweetness and sugar. You've just got that really nice acidity backbone, and you've got that fresher, like you say, more red, almost going to pink color that you're thinking. Whereas the first couple that we tasted were more purple, kind of fruit.
No, definitely. It's also very like a light and juicy cup. I wouldn't describe this tea-like because the acidity is too intense, but very, very light-bodied and juicy. I think this type of profile is very nice for iced coffees and cool summer drinks in general. And so if you do it on the cold brew, you still retain some of that acidity. If you do this a hot brew, which you chill, just becomes like very juicy, nice and light, refreshing.
For sure. Or you can just do what I do and leave the mug on your desk until it gets cold and then drink it. What's the next coffee, Espen? Don't listen to me, by the way.
And last but not least is the AB Kanimui from Kirinyaga again.
This one tastes like a fruity dark chocolate to me. Like it's got this nice mouth coating round sweetness. Like the acidity isn't overwhelming, but it's got that like hum underneath, that hum of really nice red fruit acidity. Super good.
This is also like a really like nice, light and juicy profile again for me. The acidity isn't as intense as the first one, but still definitely present, giving it just a very nice and juicy mouthfeel. And still like layers of red fruit, a little bit jammy, but still retains some of that red currant tartness, especially towards the finish. Like you said, it has like a nice like chocolate-like sweetness underneath, like all the way underneath the fruits.
It's got a lot of zip to it. It has a really long finish. It kind of lingers. That's why it reminds me of like a really fruity, nice dark chocolate. That it just has that really lingering acidity underneath. Maybe like the longest finish of any of these coffees. But again, like you said, malt heavy, really bright, almost going through like lime or kefir lime or something like that, which is also super nice.
And I'd say this is, for this coffee specifically, this will also be like a nice espresso profile. It has lots of sweetness, and despite being very acidic and a juicy coffee, it's very well balanced with the sweetness, making the acidity like not overpowering.
Yum. I think Kenya is maybe the easiest coffee country to fall in love with one lot, because they have such flavor intensity, but also such like layers and complexity. It's one of the reasons why the coffees are more expensive in Kenya. One of many reasons, but they're also worth it. You know, there's no replacement for Kenya. It's like spring has finally come. It clearly hasn't actually come. It's like 5 degrees and gray outside today in Norway, but in my cup, it's spring. If you're interested in tasting these coffees, we have some samples. We'll send you samples, but check out our offer list. Espen is the man in charge of the flavor profiles. So any of the flavor descriptions, you'll hear Espen's voice in those. And if you have any questions, if you have any confusion, if you're wondering about flavor profiles or recommendations or whatever, just drop us an email or give us a call, because we're happy to help. But thank you, Espen, for taking the time. It's really nice to cup with you again after quite a long time.
Hopefully not so many months now until you can come back into office and we'll cup properly.
Yeah. Sweet. Thanks very much, everybody. See you next time.